Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
Hello. Thanks for joining us on Mission Evolution. We're coming to you on the X-Zone TV and Simul TV from our broadcast studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, bringing the latest evolutionary information from today's leading experts. This hour, we'll consider the death of a guru. The term guru has meant many things over the ages. Traditionally, guru referred to a religious or a spiritual teacher who had deep knowledge that could lead to enlightenment as well as direct experience of the divine vision. It also indicated one who imparts initiation. However, times have changed. Is there room or need in the modern world for the guru? With us this hour to consider the role of a guru in the modern world, and joining us all the way from India, is Andrew Cohen. Andrew is a spiritual teacher, cultural visionary, and founder of the global nonprofit EnlightenNext and its award-winning publication, EnlightenNext magazine. In 2020, he launched Manifest Nirvana, a sanctuary for deep transformation. Andrew is the author of several books, including When Shadow Meets the Bodhisattva, The Challenging Transformation of a Modern Guru, and Evolutionary Enlightenment. His website, andrewcohen.com. Andrew, thank you for joining us on Mission Evolution.
My pleasure, Joe. I'm happy to be with you.
It's just a joy. And it's quite a reach all the way to India.
Sure, it's halfway around the world, or probably farther.
Exactly. I think it is. Yeah. So, Andrew, how did you become a spiritual teacher?
I became a spiritual teacher. Well, I was a spiritual seeker because I had a very powerful awakening experience when I was 16 years old that changed my life. And I was having a conversation one night with my mother, and the doors of perception opened, and I suddenly became aware of the fact that the whole universe was a conscious being, the nature of which was a kind of impersonal, absolute love that was completely intoxicating and overwhelming and utterly liberating. And I was sobbing like a baby because I felt I was seeing something so beautiful. And I realized that everything that exists, everything we can see and can't see, is all an expression of this cosmic intelligence. And I never experienced that kind of happiness and that kind of freedom and joy in my life.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I became the seeker when I was 22.
And so that experience happened when you were 22?
The experience happened when I was 16, but when I was 22,
Okay,
I decided I needed to dedicate myself to the rediscovery of this experience. And like many people from my generation, I went to India.
Okay, where'd you originate from?
New York City. I'm a New York boy.
All right. So you went to India, then what did you do there? What all did you study?
Well, I went to meditation retreats, and I met an Indian woman who became my wife. But I was doing spiritual practice all the time, looking for enlightenment. And someone told me about a wonderful teacher that lived in Lucknow, who was a disciple of one of the greatest realizers of the 20th century, Ramana Maharshi. And I decided to go see this man. And after I met him, I asked him, how much effort do you have to make to be free? And he whispered, you don't have to make any effort to be free. And I didn't understand what this meant, but I had an inner experience. My inner eye opened, and I saw water flowing down the side of a mountain. And I realized that my true nature was like that water, ever free and always unobstructed. And then it became apparent to me that unenlightened was only a thought. So this all happened in a period of about 20 seconds. And then this great man shouted, that's it. And I don't know how he knew it, but he could literally hear what was going on inside my own mind. That was the beginning of my meeting with him, and I spent 3 weeks with him, going to see him every morning and every evening. And when I left him, I had an explosive experience that changed my life forever.
That's amazing that he could actually be following you, what was going on in you internally. Is that something that is taught? Is that how did that work?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't understand it myself. I don't know how he could see and feel what was going on inside my own subjective experience, but he was the most powerful man I ever met. And literally sitting in his presence had the power to awaken people's consciousness, like exactly what happened to me.
That's
And when
amazing.
I left him after 3 weeks, he said, "When you leave me, Andrew, something very big is going to happen to you." And I didn't believe him. And when I left him, I was sitting in the train and I felt this explosion of energy and of joy and of happiness and of peace and of bliss that was literally physically overwhelming. And I underwent a metaphysical process that lasted for about 3 weeks, and I have never been the same since.
Goodness.
It's a magical story. It's a
Did
magical story. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Did you? What was the 3 weeks like? Did you have physical reaction? Were you kind of in an altered state? What was it like?
Well, we would talk. I would ask him questions, and he would answer my questions. And we'd go for walks, have tea, and invite me to have lunch with his family, dinner with his family. And I'd go rest in the afternoon and come back and spend time with him. It was very dignified and very beautiful and very. He was like my grandfather. Is what it felt like being with a wise grandfather who
Was
spoke
he?
about it. So I'm sorry. He spoke about enlightenment as if it was available, and I never met anybody who knew so much about enlightenment and could speak about it as if it was available. He seemed to be living in an altered state all the time, and
Mm.
I never met anybody like that,
How could you tell he was living in an altered state all the time?
because he would describe his inner experience of these expanded states and these miracles that he'd experienced in his life. And I'd never met anybody that had such an access to what we could call that which is miraculous.
Mm.
And half the time I thought he was a crazy old man who was making this stuff up, and half the time I thought maybe it was true. I literally didn't know what's going on until I left him, and then I had this experience, which was like a great blessing. When I had the experience myself, which I knew came directly from him, then I became a true believer.
So, what was the experience like?
It was waves of joy, waves of bliss, waves of happiness, waves of. I felt that all of my suffering had come to an end, all of the seeking had come to an end. There was an experience of peace that was overwhelming. I felt like I had been born again in many of the ways we hear people speak about. I felt like I was living in another dimension beyond time. And I was witnessing, I felt I could see myself from another dimension beyond this one. But the main experience was an unbelievable happiness. And the nature of the happiness was kind of an unconditional freedom that I'd never experienced before. And I knew that the past was over. And
So,
the joy and the gratitude was just overwhelming.
so after your initial experience, when you left your teacher, did you um, did you go back, slide back a little bit?
That happened much later. I know at that time I wasn't doing any of my backsliding.
Okay. So, but later you did kind of backslide. Do you think that the backsliding was so that you could relate better here?
um, well, that's part of a different story. Not really. I mean, my story is one is literally like Alice through the looking glass. I had the old me seemed to have died, and I suddenly had access to a level of awareness, understanding, and access to a mystery that exists beyond time that I had never known before. And he bestowed upon me a level of understanding and insight about the nature of enlightenment and the nature of spiritual teachings that I hadn't earned. Suddenly, it was present, almost
Mhm.
like a natural gift that he just put in my lap.
So
And
rather
I
than earn it, there it is. So, so we're on the same page, Andrew. Would you mind defining guru as we'll be working with it today?
Sure. Well, a guru is traditionally someone has mastered has mastery. So as we know in the West, we have financial gurus and sports gurus and health gurus. But the original topic usually relates to being a spiritual guru. So a guru is supposed to be someone who has a level of spiritual mastery and a level of spiritual attainment that's real, profound, powerful, and has the powerful to actually transmit their own state of consciousness to other people.
Now, you were fortunate enough to find your teacher. I assume that he's considered a guru.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Sure. Well, he's dead now, but he sure was.
yeah.
Big time.
So, so that being the case, how do other people? There's a lot of people out here calling themselves spiritual gurus. How do they find that level of teaching, or do they?
Well, I think everybody has their own particular story. I mean, I'm just in my own case. It was I was a very serious spiritual seeker, and I was looking for enlightenment, but I had no idea that what I was going to find when I met a man like this. And I think when you spend time in the presence of someone like that, their mastery is so obvious that one feels this great sense of reverence and respect for them. It's not like being with an ordinary person; it's a person with a deeper level of consciousness. And there was an experience of impersonal, absolute love that was pouring through him, that one felt in his presence, like one was being blessed by
So
God's
spiritual.
presence.
So recognizing a guru is a matter of the student, not so much the teacher. Being able to
Absolutely.
recognize that. Okay, that makes sense. So, what is it to impart an initiation?
Well, I've never been taught in that way. I mean, he initiated me. He gave me spiritual baptism through being in his presence. But it was more a result of just spending time in his presence, rather than a deliberate initiation that took place at a particular time.
Okay, so are you considered a guru?
I have been, yes.
So, when did you start being considered one, and who said that to you?
Well, it's part of the miracle of the story. It was almost immediately after I left my own guru. I know what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, but it's just part of a miraculous story. So when I left him, I went to New Delhi in India, a different city, to meet my friends. And when I met them, I started telling them about this amazing 3 weeks I spent with this extraordinary man. And when I started telling them what had happened to me with this extraordinary man, they started having the same kind of spiritual feelings that I did when I was in his presence. And they started treating me differently. They started treating me with a level of respect and reverence that I
So, in other
didn't
words,
ask for.
so your change actually then manifested in your interaction with other people.
But instantaneously,
Hmm.
automatically, it was a complete miracle that I somehow could handle. I don't know how I could handle it, because I was aware that I was living a spiritual dream that was literally coming true.
So, when that's the case, did you find yourself disoriented a bit? I mean, you're coming
Oh,
back and
totally,
relating to people.
completely disoriented.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. How long did it take you to come to terms with that?
um, well, what I was going to say is I'm not sure that I ever have come to terms with it.
Yeah,
But
I can
I
understand.
was in a state of what's called surrender, or inner submission. I was overwhelmed by experience of grace, the presence of grace, and I was able to accept it in a way that surprised even me. I seemed to be prepared for it. I seemed to be ready for what was happening, and that surprised me also.
Do you think that today, do you find yourself drifting in and out of that state? Sometimes you're in it more, sometimes you're in it less.
Absolutely.
And what do you think causes that shifting back and forth?
Well, what brings on that state for me is practicing meditation and also teaching, especially teaching. It's
So,
when I teach, I start transmitting that state of consciousness quite automatically. And other times, when I'm busy with mundane things, I'm just busy with mundane things. I'm not necessarily in the most exalted states all the time.
so it
But,
takes some maintenance then, I take it.
well, the maintenance is not doubting it.
So the maintenance is holding the course and trusting what your experience is.
What the experience is, but it's trusting, because my guru said to me when I came back to see him after those 3 weeks, he said, "Andrew, I'm so glad you found a friend you'll never be able to see. Andrew, I'm
Mhm.
so glad you found a friend you'll never be able to see." So the nature of consciousness, or the nature of the spiritual reality, is a dimension that we can't see with our physical eyes, but we can experience with our inner being.
Well,
So
Andrew, we're going to have to pick up on this on the other side of a quick break.
sure.
Andrew, Andrew and I will return very shortly. So don't you go away. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org.
Question: what is the name of the unique blend of coffee you get that has been formulated by a neurologist, a neurobiologist, and a pharmaceutical chemist? Answer: you get Beautiful Mind Coffee, a unique coffee blend that tastes great and has herbal ingredients that your brain will love, and it is not just coffee, it's brainalicious. Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, the scientific team that created Beautiful Mind Coffee, decided to collaborate on a coffee focusing on brain health. As for those herbal ingredients found in Beautiful Mind Coffee, Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, utilizing their combined extensive scientific research background, worked with many natural and herbal products until the exact formulation that is found in Beautiful Mind Coffee was created. With a unique scientific formula not found in any other coffee being sold or served, Beautiful Mind Coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Every cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee contains scientifically formulated amounts of maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng, all supporting good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Did you know that cognitive dysfunction also refers to deficits in attention, verbal and non-verbal learning, short-term and working memory, visual and auditory processing, problem-solving, processing speed, and motor functioning? For more on Beautiful Mind Coffee, the 3 scientists who formulated Beautiful Mind Coffee, and more details on the 3 unique herbal ingredients in Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available online at amazon.ca and amazon.com. To order Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca today.
Hello again. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. With us this hour discussing the challenges of a modern guru is Andrew Cohen. His website, andrewcohen.com. Andrew, we were talking about what it takes to be a guru, what it's like to be a guru. And then you were talking about being in the presence of people and them having experiences because of what you'd gone through, you were actually carrying that. Do you find that that goes on in your classes a lot, or do some people experience and some people not?
All the time, absolutely. That's what people are attracted to. They easily fall into states of meditation in my presence. And the state of meditation really makes one receptive for spiritual depth and also to understand metaphysical teachings and philosophical truths. They become much more receptive and they find it much easier to concentrate. So enlightenment is like a fire. It's like a burning fire. And if someone is stabilized in their access to enlightened awareness, and if you sit in their presence, it's like sitting in front of a fire. And different people are different wood in different states of dampness. Some wood is very damp, some wood is very dry. If the wood is very dry, it catches on fire right away. If it's damp, it needs to dry out first before it catches fire. So sitting in the presence of an awakened spiritual teacher is like sitting in the presence of a raging fire.
So if you were to guess, because I know percentages are a little difficult in this kind of a topic, but what percentage of the teaching comes through simply sitting in the radiance of being with you, and what percent comes from what comes out of your mouth?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I think it's a combination of both. Because when I teach, I go get into a flow state. The teaching seems to come from a place beyond my own mind. I'm often amazed by what comes through me. I speak about with a level of confidence about things that I often have never even thought about.
Do you think that you're in an altered state, like a trance-like state, when you're doing this?
Absolutely.
So from that trance-like state, you're accessing information that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. Is this correct?
Yes, I think so. I think so, especially when it's very deep. It's almost like the inside of the universe seems to open up, and I seem to have access to a level. It's not information that's not available, but to me, but there's a feeling of depth that's felt that changes everything.
Andrew, do you think that who is present with you dictates what you bring through? Does it make it kind of custom like that?
I used to think that was the case, but I think it's very much less now because I've been teaching for a long time, so I have a whole teaching, and so the teaching comes through me in various ways to respond to people's questions. But it's a teaching that I've developed over a long period of time that is, I was going to say fairly predictable, but there's a large body of work there that I refer to that exists within my soul and my mind. But I try to be sensitive to the different needs of different people that are speaking to me. Absolutely.
I was wondering if there's just kind of an autopilot where the people that are in the room draw from you that what they need.
That happens also. That happens also.
Who do you think dictates that?
Well, I think what makes this all work is there has to be a measure of sympathy. In other words, people have to feel a measure of trust and sympathy in me. There has to be a feeling of warmth and trust, not in any way that's blind, but a sense of sympathetic interest, and then that opens up the doors to these deeper dimensions of access. And
So,
people usually feel that they're being seen in a way that they're usually not seen, and feel that they're able to experience depths of themselves that aren't ordinarily available to them.
so it's kind of an opening or a trust.
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
So do you create a special environment energetically that allows that to be more available for them?
The answer is absolutely yes, but I don't do anything. I just sit down, and it happens by itself. But absolutely yes. There a very powerful atmosphere is generated, in which
Do you,
the presence of awakened consciousness for sure.
do you do some preparation just before you go into each class? Personal preparation?
My preparation is having no doubt, not having any fear, not having any doubt, not worrying about anything.
Do you work with breath to get to that state when you're getting ready to go
No,
teach?
no, it's just it's having no doubt that it's there.
Oh, okay. No doubt in your access to source, so to speak.
Exactly. So that because there's no doubt, then there is no distance. And
Gotcha.
because I'm sitting in a state of deep trust, it just flows in a miraculous way, and I'm stunned and stupefied every time it happens. It's always like the first time. Like, for
So,
example, they say in India. Sorry to interrupt you. They say in India that consciousness is like being, consciousness, and bliss that is ever new. So most experiences we have in life, once we've had them the first time, the second time it's not the same as the first time. But when we experience consciousness, it's always like the first time. It never ages.
sounds like sitting stream. You're by the same stream, but the water is ever changing.
Exactly like that. Exactly like that.
Interesting. Okay, so what is the Bodhisattva? Forgive
But
my pronunciation.
a bodhisattva is a very advanced practitioner realizer, which means it's someone who, it works like this, because at the beginning of the path, people are usually seeking for enlightenment for themselves. And as one awakens and develops spiritually, at a certain point, one reaches a certain level of maturity in which one realizes this was never about me. This is always about everyone else. It's about liberating everyone else in the universe. The spiritual path, and this path of spiritual practice, it's not about my own narcissistic liberation, but it's really about the liberation of all of sentient beings, all of humanity. So a bodhisattva is someone who lives for the salvation of all other sentient beings.
So if there are various levels, I take it, of being a teacher, do you think that there are that a teacher, whatever level a teacher is at, is the appropriate level for his students or her students, and then they evolve from there?
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes the teacher and the student aren't the right fit.
I was wondering
Sometimes,
about that.
yeah, well, it's like anything else in life. Sometimes we can go to a teacher who really would turn us off, or maybe we find them offensive or not appealing or pretentious or egomaniacs or whatever. And so
So that
we may not find them trustworthy or compelling or even smart.
so that's kind of like an automatic built-in filtering system, isn't it? You're either drawn or repelled by a teacher.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Um, what does it mean to manifest nirvana? You spoke of that a bit.
Well, you're asking really difficult and very great questions. Well, when the Buddha spoke about nirvana, he spoke about a meditative state of consciousness that exists beyond the mind, beyond time, and beyond the world. So nirvana was a heaven realm that exists as a place that one had access to in a meditative trance. So it's beyond time, beyond the world, where it was escaping the world of time and the body and the mind and the world to experience the bliss of this trance state, this concentrated state of consciousness that's beyond the world. So
So
that this miraculous state of nirvana that exists beyond the world is called that which is unmanifest or unborn or uncreated. The Buddha called it the unborn or the uncreated. Uncreated and unborn means before the universe was created, there was a ground of being. So it's awakening to this grounded being that exists before time, before space, before the manifestation of the universe. So in that state, one experiences that what's called that peace that passeth all understanding, because the universe at that level of being, the universe hasn't been created yet. So there's only peace, and that experience of peace is so enthralling, so overwhelming, so mind-bogglingly ecstatic that when one experiences, one never wants to come back from it.
So
So
you said that it was outside of time before times began. Yet doesn't that mean it exists does that mean it exists always and we just
yes,
have to be open to it?
absolutely.
So how do we set aside our we're all kind of tuned in and conditioned by our realities that we firmly believe in and are ensconced in. How does one start to step out of that enough to reach nirvana?
The way we do it is we have to long for it. It's almost like falling in love with spirit. It's like falling deeply in love with one's beloved, but it's not a person. It's the deepest part of one's own self. So it's through longing for that friend that we'll never be able to see that we begin to find access to it. And the way I try to help people to approach it is cultivating the desire to want to be free more than anything else, to want to be spiritually free. I want to be free first and foremost more than anything else. So we cultivate the access through the longing for freedom from everything else, longing for freedom from everything that's in the way, longing for a happiness that has nothing to do with getting anything that doesn't already exist within us.
So within us is the access point.
What we're looking for is our own true self. In other words, beyond the ego and beyond the separate self exists the self that's called the self with a capital S, which means my true self, which is the source you were referring to.
So
So
is that a state of unity then? So when we're able to really
absolutely,
identify with our true self, then we can relate to everything else on a different level?
yes, because we begin to relate to the world from that place of unity. Usually we're relating to the world from a place which we feel there's something wrong with us and with life. So we think there's something wrong with us, something wrong with life. But when we awaken to this true self, you realize that there's nothing wrong with us and there's nothing wrong with life. So we're approaching it from a place where nothing needs to be fixed. We no longer feel broken. We no longer feel hurt and wounded and traumatized, because the deepest part of ourself has never been touched by anything that's ever happened in time. It's always free from anything that's happened in time. So when you're in touch with the deepest part of the self, one feels a freedom and a joy that's untouched by pain and fear.
So when we're in the state of, we're conditioned into something's wrong with us, uh, that we have to work to obtain, to build in the ordinary reality that's apparently, from what you're saying, a myth. What is the cause of that? What's the purpose behind that reality that so many of us live in that says we're not good enough?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's a myth, but I think a lot of people are suffering because they experience different kinds of traumas when they're usually in the early ages. And these traumas, which is an experience of enormous pain, create a deep impression. They give us the impression at an unconscious level that life isn't safe, it's not trustworthy, and there might be something wrong with us, and there's something to be afraid of. So with the spiritual awakening, we realize that there's a deeper part of ourself that's never been touched by that trauma, has never been hurt or wounded or traumatized, and that deeper part of myself and the deeper part of yourself is always free. It's always the experience of unconditional freedom and love and peace and joy. And when you discover that our own true nature is always already this love, peace, and joy, and we experience it very, very, very deep. When you experience it when it's very deep, it becomes very spiritually convincing. So it enables us to let go of our conscious and unconscious attachment to our traumas and our fears.
I've heard the term that seems to kind of be coming up for me here, pain body. Is this what you're describing as living out of the pain body versus your true expression?
Exactly that, precisely that. The pain body is the expression of the great Eckhart Tolle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the pain body is that place where we experience all the places we've been wounded and hurt and betrayed, and whereas we've suffered for different reasons because of other people's ignorance, and we usually blame ourselves for it.
As children, we do, don't we?
Exactly. So, and some people never get over it. So the idea is that the spiritual awakening, when it's deep and profound, promises the possibility of a profound recovery and transcendental transformation.
Is there a certain amount of scrapping around and dealing with the traumas to clear them before you can step aside from them, or is it just something you could take off like an old cloak?
It depends on who we are and where we're at in our own development. Some people need to do some psychological work first, maybe for some years, to really do some psychological cleanup, and some people are spiritually prepared to let go right now. We're all in different places.
Well, Andrew, we have to take another break. So Andrew and I will be right back to continue our discussion. You stay right there. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Hi there. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. Our special guest this hour is Andrew Cohen. His website, andrewcohen.com. Andrew, changing gears a little bit here, I understand that you had a fall from grace and a collapse of your spiritual community. Would you tell us a little about that?
Sure. So what happened was that I've been teaching for about 27 years, and some of my closest senior students had some questions about some decisions I made, some choices I'd made, and I'd never been questioned before by my students. So like a lot of other people in my position, I became very proud, and I didn't want to have that conversation. And so because I didn't want to have this conversation, which could have led to us coming together and working on our problems together, it created a lot of distance and there was a lot of heartbreak about that, and it created a lack of trust. People felt I wasn't living my own teaching, wasn't being trustworthy. So I'm ashamed about that.
How did you experience that? I mean, did it impact your ability to really channel spirit into your teachings?
Oh, yes, for about 3 years, I lost touch with my own deepest depths, and I went through a transformational process. I stopped teaching for about 3 years, and I did a lot of. I stopped teaching for 3 years, and I did a lot of spiritual work, to try and find out what the problem was. And
what'd you find?
There was pride and self-importance, pride before the fall.
So is that what one might call ego slipping in?
I think that's exactly what one would call it.
How common is that for someone that was once a very open-hearted, genuine teacher to get hooked by that ego piece and fall from grace?
Well, I think that more gurus get hooked by pride than we might be aware of, except I agreed to stop teaching for a while in order to do some work on myself. And I think that's, and I hope it doesn't sound like more ego, but I've never heard of other teachers really doing anything like that, of stopping and wanting to kind of do some soul searching and come to terms with their own remaining imperfections. So I took a lot. I dropped everything I was doing, and I really went to the bottom. And I experienced enormous doubt and enormous fear, enormous confusion. And I had to struggle very deeply with my own teachings and with my own ideas about myself.
That is a challenge, isn't it? To really turn
Yes.
around and egg on my face kind of thing. Realize how slowly but surely, or maybe even from the beginning, that things have been clouded by your um, ego or imperfections.
Absolutely. Well, I realized at a certain point that I wanted people to see me as being perfect, even though I never believed I was perfect. I wanted to be seen that way, and at a certain point I realized that was part of the problem.
So part of that feeling like you're broken slipped back in.
Well, I was broken.
Aha! But you said we aren't broken.
No, I know that, but I mean, in terms of what happened in reality of my personal life.
So it broke you. You felt like it broke you.
Yes, very much so. For a period of time, until I rediscovered my own true self, and then the awakening.
Do you think that shattering was a initiation of sorts in the long run?
It was a purification. Sure, it taught me that I'm human just like everyone else, and I'm imperfect like everyone else. And so I think I think I knocked me down a few pegs, which is what I think it was all about, what I think I needed.
Do you think that your experience also is part of the natural evolution of a guru?
Not necessarily, no. Not necessarily, no.
You think that there are some that are able to just stay in that state and never stumble?
Well, I think that a lot of gurus stumble because they're all imperfect human beings like the rest of us. But I'm not sure that many agree to stop the music to the degree that I did.
So I'd like to clarify again. There's this dichotomy between there's nothing wrong with us, we are perfect, and being stopped by your own imperfections. Was it being stopped by your own imperfections, or was it sliding out of your perfection?
Well, that's a very good question. Both. It was both, and I think it was both. And I also started to doubt myself, which and then when I started doubting myself, I started to lose access to the confidence, the spiritual self-confidence that I told you about earlier.
And then you lose access to spiritual information. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So confidence, that's what you spoke of originally, is you have to have that confidence. But it's not really confidence in yourself, is it?
Well, I call it spiritual self-confidence, and it's confidence in the fact that spirit is higher, or that to use mythic language, that God actually exists, that there's a miracle and a mystery that exists beyond life and death, the discovery which can liberate us and save our souls. So it's having no doubt about that. Because remember, I told you, my guru said to me, Andrew, I'm so glad you found a friend you'll never be able to see. So it's doubt in that which is formless and timeless and infinite and unimaginable.
What would you say, sitting here right now, to say they're out there listening or and watching, or some other spiritual teachers that are maybe sliding sliding into ego? What are the signs that that's happening? What advice would you give them?
Well, I think that we have to. Humility is the key to the kingdom. So I think that we have to remain very humble and always leave enormous room inside ourselves for what we don't already know, and be constantly checking on ourselves and watching ourselves and being our own best inner policeman to make sure we're walking on that razor's edge. Because to awaken to enlightened awareness and to be an expression of it, we have to walk on the razor's edge, which means we have to really be paying a lot of attention to what we're doing, to why we're doing it, and to making sure that we're coming from the best part of ourselves all the time, and not to be sloppy or casual ever, especially if one's in the role of being a teacher.
Do you think that also part of the pitfall is identifying with the teaching rather than being the channel for it?
Yes, of course. I am the enlightened one. And just the way you're saying, yes, that can become an enormous trap.
So this sounds to me like the largest job is self-maintenance.
Yes, and remaining very humble, no matter how extraordinary, and profound, and miraculous the events are happening in and around you and through you, realizing that we're ultimately nothing.
So I would expect that part of the temptation comes from the adoration of your students. Yes?
Well, it could be. I never felt that people's love and devotion to me was a trap or something that I abused or took took in the wrong way. I mean, to be honest with you, I never felt I took people for granted in that way. But it could be a trap, of course, because when people fall in love with you, they'll do anything for you, and that's something that we have to be very careful about.
Oh, I bet that's one of your greatest challenges in the work, isn't it?
It could be. I mean, with me, it was more my pride. It was not being abusive in that way.
Okay, so pride goeth before the fall, like you said.
Oh yeah, it's pathetic, and it's true.
Well, times are changing, Andrew, and this is something I want to get into throughout this section and probably into the next. But times are changing. Are we not moving, or are we moving into a state of unity and enlightenment?
Well, I know that some spiritual teachers seem to think we are, but I don't. I don't think that we're becoming more spiritual than we have been. I think that we're facing enormous problems right now. The world we're living is more divided against itself than it's ever been. We're dealing with problems that are completely overwhelming, and we're facing our own. The human race is facing its own self-destruction in a way that's never happened before. And no one's going to save us except ourselves. And ultimately, there needs to be a spiritual revolution that's going to happen, because what's keeping us separate from ourselves and each other is not realizing that at the deepest level we're all one anyway. So I know that some spiritually minded people feel that there's a great awakening about to happen and that we're going to be saved by it, but this is not my experience. As much as I would like it to be true.
Rather than a great awakening, is there, as we're moving forward with all the, rapidly moving changes, rapidly moving times, Lord knows what era we're moving into as far as the galactic influences, is that putting more pressure on our blind spots and causing a lot of this
Yes.
disruption?
Well, I think what's dangerous is everybody's getting scared because of what's happening with technology, with social media, with environmental degradation, with the war in Ukraine. I mean, there's so many problems we face. We've never faced so many problems all at the same time. We've never been so powerful, and we've never felt so powerless in the face of all these challenges. So people get scared, and when people get scared, they start dividing against themselves, and we start dividing against each other. So when people become frightened, the world gets more dangerous. We all become more dangerous, and it seems like that's the kind of time we're living in now. And nobody knows what the future is going to bring, because we realize the life we have lived is over. We're entering into an unpredictable and, in many ways, ominous future, and nobody knows what to do about it. There's no wise ones, either in politics or in religion or spirituality, that seem to know how we're going to solve this predicament.
Ergo, the guru doesn't have anything to say about it.
Well, the guru can give us encouraging spiritual advice.
But if everybody's in fear, Andrew, are they going to listen? Are they going to hear? Are they even going to be into a state where they can move into nirvana, if you will?
Well, sometimes when we get scared, we become more serious. We stop taking life for granted. Sometimes our fear makes it possible for us to live in ways that it's not ordinarily available to us. In other words, sometimes when people are facing death or they get a terrible disease, they suddenly find a level of seriousness and sincerity and open-heartedness that otherwise might not be available to them. So I find these days when I'm teaching, a lot of people are, because of the chaos and the complexity of the world situation, are more interested in awakening spiritually than they were before.
Isn't it difficult, though, because fear and trust don't tend to go hand in hand? How can you, if you find yourself in fear and thrashing around and going into the back brain where there's nothing but fight or flight, how can you as a guru, how can you help mitigate that for people?
Well, if one is stabilized in a state of enlightened awareness, one will be expressing a state of calmness and equipoise and a state of self-confidence that can inspire other people.
So just by being the center of the hurricane, you can talk them down out of the tree without opening your mouth?
Well, without opening one's mouth or with opening one's mouth, but in terms of the nature of one's being, if we seem calm and centered and happy and clear-minded, it can inspire other people. Oh, it's possible not to fall apart under this existential pressure. We can actually find a kind of a clarity and a sane way to be, even in the midst of this turmoil and this growing pressure in the world. Absolutely.
I've seen people, a lot of emergency workers, they tend to be able to just kind of drop into that place. They know what to do. They're calm, and it's like everybody kind of surrounds around them because they know what to do. They sense that in them. It's almost like an animal instinct, and that creates a leader in a way. How can we, as individuals, start to carry that for others?
Well, we'll still carry that for others when we start to feel a sense of greater responsibility. So the biggest spiritual truth is that the biggest spiritual truth is that there is ultimately only one and not two. The essence of Vedanta says there is only one self, and I am that, and I am that. We all are that one without a second. So the realization of the fact that there's only one and not two, and I realize I am that one without a second, becomes the source of the spiritual self-confidence. And if we realize that we're depending on each other, then if we awaken spiritually, we can begin to feel the way a parent feels about his children, his or her children. In other words, we feel responsible for them. Because we feel responsible for them, we will
take care of that. Yeah.
We'll protect them, and we'll demonstrate leadership.
Andrew, it is time for us to take another break, and we will pick up on this on the other side. So please stay with us. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org.
Question: what is the name of the unique blend of coffee you get that has been formulated by a neurologist, a neurobiologist, and a pharmaceutical chemist? Answer: you get Beautiful Mind Coffee, a unique coffee blend that tastes great and has herbal ingredients that your brain will love, and it is not just coffee, it's brainalicious. Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, the scientific team that created Beautiful Mind Coffee decided to collaborate on a coffee focusing on brain health. As for those herbal ingredients found in Beautiful Mind Coffee, Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, utilizing their combined extensive scientific research background, worked with many natural and herbal products until the exact formulation that is found in Beautiful Mind Coffee was created. With a unique scientific formula not found in any other coffee being sold or served, Beautiful Mind Coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Every cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee contains scientifically formulated amounts of maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng, all supporting good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Did you know that cognitive dysfunction also refers to deficits in attention, verbal and nonverbal learning, short-term and working memory, visual and auditory processing, problem-solving, processing speed, and motor functioning? For more on Beautiful Mind Coffee, the 3 scientists who formulated Beautiful Mind Coffee, and more details on the 3 unique herbal ingredients in Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available online at amazon.ca and amazon.com. To order Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca today.
Welcome back. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. This hour, our expert guest is Andrew Cohen. His website, andrewcohen.com. Andrew, we've kind of covered how the world is in one of the largest crises I think we've ever seen. That, I would think, would also put pressure on the role of a guru. How do you see, what specific functions of the guru do you see as even remaining relevant as we move forward?
Well, I think that the role of the guru is to be an exemplar of awakened consciousness and to be able to transmit it to other people. So an authentic guru is like a touchstone. In other words, if being in a relationship with them and sitting in their presence, one enters into an awakened state, and that awakened state is the ultimate source of relief from fear and doubt and terror and even the fear of death.
Well, not everyone can have the good fortune to sit in the presence of a guru. What about the ones that can't?
Well, they should. Well, I think with the internet these days, I think everything's available in a way it never has been, even gurus, and believe it or not. But I think we can learn how to meditate. We can learn how to find the guru within our own true self, because the outer guru awakens the guru within us all, and we learn how to save ourselves in that way.
So the role of the guru is to help a person awaken their inner guru. Is that what you're saying here?
Absolutely, because there's only one self, and so if someone's become an awakened guru, they've awakened to that one self in a way that's very powerful, and can make that experience available to other people. But once our inner guru is awakened, we've awakened to the same source as the guru has access to. So the guru is the outer expression of our own inner guru.
Gotcha. So with all the turmoil and upheaval, it is more challenging, is it not, to remain in that state? What?
Absolutely. It's much,
Yeah.
much of a,
It's like kind of stacked against us here. So, what sources can a person call upon when they find themselves slipping or not able to access their inner being?
well, I think we have to believe that there is a source to the universe, there's a source of life, there's a source of existence, which is not separate from our own deepest true heart. So so I think we all know what it's like when we feel desperate and frightened to come to our knees and to reach out to that cosmic source that exists within all of us. And in doing so, embrace a level of inner receptivity and openness and trust in that friend that we can't see.
Do you see the natural world as being a reflection of this state of being?
Well, yes, yes. Well, yes. I mean, because what I was just thinking of is that when we experience nature, we experience the beauty of that inner state. But of course, in ultimate truth, the totality of reality expresses light and dark, lightness and darkness, expresses the non-duality of both. So God consciousness is both peace and love, and is also ferocious and dynamic and frightening and overwhelming all at the same time. God is everything, all of those things.
Nature reflects that pretty nicely, doesn't it?
Certainly, certainly does.
So, what do you mean by evolutionary enlightenment?
Well, evolutionary enlightenment means that the universe is evolving. The universe had a beginning in time 14 billion years ago. And the Big Bang was an explosion of light and energy that created the conditions that made it possible for life to emerge, and from life, mind, and from mind, self-reflective awareness. So we become aware of the fact that the universe is a cosmic process that's in progress, and the emergence of human intelligence and self-reflective awareness is a product of the evolutionary process, and we're all products of the evolutionary process. We're all an expression of evolution. When we awaken to it, the evolutionary process awakens to itself through our capacity to cognize it, to understand it, and to realize it. So evolution becomes aware of itself through human capacity for self-reflection. And
So here
so,
we are in the middle of chaos when things seem to be devolving around us rather than evolving. So, how is this a continued evolution?
well, I think whether this is a continued evolution or not is going to depend on how well we do in the next 10, 20 years. But evolutionary enlightenment means that the universe as a whole is a creative process that's in progress, that's going somewhere. So it's when we begin to see the expression of God or spirit as a creative process that's going somewhere. It's a different way to think about the absolute. It's a different way to think about God. It's a different way to think about spirit. That spirit is not static, but it's evolving, it's moving, it's becoming more conscious and more intelligent through us, as us. We're all part of it. We're part of that one without a second. The one without a second is this evolutionary process in motion.
So, if we're part of an evolutionary process in motion, and given it's going to depend upon the actions that we as individuals and as cultures take in the next years to come,
Exactly.
is there a new human being becoming possible?
Well, I think that I think the idea of the new human has been for quite a while now. The awakening of the human being that realizes that I'm not the ego. I am the energy and intelligence that created the universe, awakening to itself and bearing witness to itself through the body, mind, personality of Gwilda and Andrew. So that means I am the creator of the universe, bearing witness to itself through the body, mind, personalities of these human beings that we are. So if we know that, then we'll be living this life as if that's who we are and not just separate ego.
If we can come into that state of unity, do you think that we can bring forth things that have not been available before from the
Yeah,
unified field? Well,
yeah. The most important thing is that we can get along together.
wouldn't that be nice?
But let's get down to let's be honest. That's the hardest thing for human beings to do is to really get along, to really get along together, to trust each other, and to work for each other's welfare, not just competing against each other for superiority, but really working for each other's welfare and to get along together. That's what spirit makes possible for us.
So it sounds like that the let's call it common neutral heart space that a guru can create will nurture an environment where that can
Absolutely.
happen.
That should be the case for sure.
So you say that because of the internet, there a lot of more things are accessible. Can that state come through the internet if you're watching a video or a YouTube or?
Definitely, because consciousness is non-local. Consciousness is non-local, so it can definitely be experienced through the internet. I do it all the time.
So the person, the quality of the person energetically is able to transmit through the internet.
Absolutely, because consciousness is not confined by time and space.
Pretty amazing. So that puts quite a tool in our hands, doesn't it?
It sure does. There's so much that's possible. There's so much beauty and goodness and truth that's possible. We just have to make ourselves available for it.
I would think that we'd also need to be mindful, given that that's the case, of the negative stuff we might be putting out there through the internet.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. There's a lot of negative stuff being put out there on the internet. Sometimes I
Right.
think it's doing more harm than good.
Absolutely.
But
So the more of
it's
us that can put out things that are of that common neutral heart space of acceptance of unity, we could possibly turn it around. Is that your feeling?
I live and breathe for that possibility.
So it's about the time in the program, Andrew, when I have to ask you, what is your mission?
To set as many people free as possible, as God will allow me to do. I want people to know that it's possible to be free, and it's possible to experience a fearless state of ecstatic unity with the totality of reality, and it's possible to share that with other people and to help other people to be free. We all need to help each other to be free and free from fear.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, how do we upgrade our spiritual practice and structures to include the critical discoveries of modern day psychology?
Well, by realizing that modern psychology has taught us a lot about the human psyche, and that we realize there's a lot of parts of us that are unconscious and conditioned. If we realize that the majority of who and what makes us who we are is unconscious and conditioned, we'll start paying attention to ourselves, realizing that there's so much going on under the surface that I'm not aware of, and so we'll start paying more closer attention to what we're saying and where it's coming from in us, what's motivating us.
So, what would this upgraded practice look like if we start to incorporate that knowledge?
Well, the upgraded practice, it would always look like we're a more conscious human being. It means we would see more, know more, feel more, express more, be more compassionate, more accepting, and more loving.
Well,
More consciousness, more knowledge, and more understanding.
when we were talking about your fall from grace, if you will, when your community collapsed, it sounded like a horrifically painful process to go through. And in a way, I would expect that's kind of what we all have to go through to reach, that painful process, to move through all of what we aren't in order to access who we are. What words of wisdom and encouragement do you have for us to move forward in that?
Well, what saves us from our own shadows, our unconscious shadows, would be spiritually inspired sincerity, transparency, and authenticity. So it means we have to want to face the truth, not only about life, but also about ourselves, which takes a lot of courage, because usually there's all sorts of things going on inside us and parts of ourselves that aren't so pretty. So in terms of self-transparency, we need to have the courage to kind of face everything and avoid nothing, and aspire to be transparent to ourselves so we can be transparent to other people, and to be a trustworthy human being.
It seems like one of the things that we're fed from childhood on is large doses of guilt and shame. How
Absolutely.
is that impacting our ability to do this very process?
It's not helping. it's shame and guilt is so destructive. We have to really work to kind of let go of that. It does not help us at all. It just destroys people's souls. So you can't let go of it.
It seems like there's almost like a ricochet. The person starts to look inward, and then they hit that guilt and shame. And it's like, I'm not going to go there. Okay. How can we stop ourselves at that point that we don't ricochet on out?
we have to develop courage. We have to develop the courage to be honest and authentic and real. And that means we have to face the good and the bad about ourselves. Often we don't have the courage to face how beautiful and extraordinary, how enlightened we can be. We also have to face all the darkness about that exists within us also. It takes spiritual courage. You need a lot of courage. It takes courage to be fully human.
It's not for the faint of heart, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So we've talked about the doom and the gloom and all the challenges that we're looking at. Well, we haven't talked about all of them, but there's certainly, a plethora of them. Andrew, what is your vision for the future?
Well, my vision is being able to get more and more people to trust themselves and to trust each other. Because I feel trust is the key to the kingdom. Trust is what destroys the boundaries that exist between us. So what I try and do is awaken people to a state of consciousness where they begin to experience trust in themselves, and a result of trusting themselves is the ability to trust other people. And when we can come together with other people in a deep state of trust, ultimately, and trust that's unconditional, we discover the kind of a potential to experience kind of a level of happiness in which it can feel like heaven on earth.
You seem to think you've spoken that trust is really kind of a kingpin here, but a lot of us have reason not to trust.
We've had bad experiences, that's why.
So we have to move beyond and not superimpose those onto our present.
No, we don't want to repeat the mistakes of the past. We also have to have better experiences now, experiences that are so positive that we can let go of the bad ones.
Well, Andrew, unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's been absolutely wonderful to talk with you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you. Our guest this hour has been spiritual teacher Andrew Cohen. Andrew is the author of When Shadow Meets the Bodhisattva, The Challenging Transformation of the Modern Guru, and Evolutionary Enlightenment. His website, andrewcohen.com. This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka. For more information or to enjoy past archived episodes, visit www.missionevolution.org. Please be sure to join us right here next time as this mission continues, bringing information, resources, and support to our evolving world.